bonjour, comment allez-vous, and je vais très bien. We're glad to see you all, and we hope that you had a great week. All right? Let me see, can I bring my people on? Where? Okay, we hope that you all had a great week so far, and we're here to make it better. As you know, if you've been here before, in our usual fashion, you know what you got to do. You got to have your drink.
Yo,
Everybody on the live. Hey, Keith, what's happening?
what's good, OG?
Oh, man, I can't call it. Hey, Miss O'Neill, how are you?
Hey, I got my new glasses on.
Oh, okay. All
Y'all
right.
see?
Hey, you can't have money. When you got money, hey, it's going to show up somehow, someplace, somehow.
Hey, thanks for your time last night, though. I'm on my way to meet my nephew now, and we
Oh,
talked
man.
about it again. He said, "Oh man, Mr. G," he said, "Yo, everything you said about him, like he said, yo, I see y'all connection. And I mean, this and that." I said, "Yeah, Mr. G, that's the homie." He said, "Yo, for real."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he already like he love you already. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Hey, we all in it together, brother, trying to do what we need to do to get to the next place, you know.
yeah,
Get back
man.
what's rightfully ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that in our in my intro. And the reason I want to mention that is because after our conversation, you know, and I was pleased to meet your nephew. He's a pleasant, well mannered, well spoken young man. So
Mm.
I'm always impressed with that. You can tell, even though I haven't met him in person, you can
Hmm.
tell over the phone what his character is like. So, and
Oh
I love
yeah, 100%, Mr. G. He's 25, so 100%. Yeah, he's my that's my sister's son. So yeah, and that's the one that I sent you the music on, and you know what we doing. But yeah, no, yeah, the
it.
joy. I'm gonna have to send you something too. So yeah,
Oh,
he's
okay.
very positive, and the best thing about it is he has a spiritual approach. So
Right,
he's not like you heard his music. He's not shooting and killing and all that. He's trying to put that message out there, but he
right.
does it in that street way. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, it's unbelievable.
And I
Yeah.
gathered that through our conversation, which leads me into this segue when we start talking about younger people. Listen,
Mm,
everybody, we know that everybody wants our loved ones to do well, right? We all want them to do well, and we want to provide the assistance necessary. Um, but my thing is this that well, let me be before I get in there. I want for those of you who don't know, my daughter's on tour with uh, Mooney Long,
Say her
Brandon.
name right.
What is her name? Mooney.
Mooney Long.
That's what I said.
You
Mooney
said
Long.
Noonie.
I said Mooney.
Oh my God.
That's
Mooney.
just that southern drawl, but don't worry about it.
This is you.
But anyway, you know, she want to thank everybody for all the well wishes, all the support, and I'm getting all the calls and the texts myself in support of her. So that's what it takes. It takes a village, and she wanted me to let you all know that she loves everyone who supports us. She loves everyone who is about that business because she is definitely about her business. One thing I can say even though she's my daughter, she's got a hustle that's unmatched, man. I mean, I used to hustle in the day and I used to get it in, but I'm telling you, she's got one lick up on me. So the thing is, what I was getting into was that we want everybody to do well, but we can't do anything until people come into their own. Once they come into their own, then they're going to realize and they're going to start appreciating. But we can't always look for them to do things in our time. And a lot of time, us OGs and the people who came up through the system, we know what it takes. So we try to ward off all danger and protect and all of those things. And that's good to a point. But if they get the lessons, if they get the lessons, then you don't have to worry about it. even when they're not in your sight. You don't have to worry about it. And that's the one thing that I feared when I was managing Bliss and a couple other groups, was I knew that they were protected as long as they were with me and Big H, and the crew that we had assembled in support of them. But the thing is, we often worried when they weren't around us. But as time goes on and you start observing the behavior and you see the desire, you see the will, kind of let that go. It's part of the maturity in the music industry and the entertainment industry as a whole. And that's
Yes,
the way it is.
yes, Mr. G. You gotta let them you got to let them experience some of the heartbreak, the people not showing up, the broken promises, the broken commitments. You get to the show, the mic ain't working, the stage ain't set up the way we said. We were
Right.
supposed to be the fifth act, but now you're telling us we on first, or we on this, or just all of the stuff that goes into it. And what you're saying is these are all lessons in life. And you're a parent, so I'm sure you and DeJoya would agree that sometimes you gotta let your kids go through it, and then the lesson is after they go through it. The key is your relationship strong enough with them so that when they go through what they go through, they're gonna come talk about it with you. So, and if they do, then
Absolutely.
you good, because that means that they chose you, even though you older. They said, I understand, I can relate, I can, and that's the relationship that me and my nephew have. Same thing, like everything you're saying is that the young people, we as older people have to let them choose us. Once they choose
Absolutely.
us, that's it. Sometimes we could be overzealous. We know this. I know when you go down that block that this is what's gonna happen. Well, sometimes they need to go down the block and get hit over their head, and then you say, "Hey," you don't say, "I told you so." You say, "What happened?" "Oh, I went down that block and that." All right. So you gonna
And,
go down that block again?
and the
What'd you
thing
say?
is, the real thing, Keith, is this:
Go
as
ahead.
long as you're present in their lives, whether or not it's from a distance or whatever, your personality, your values, if you teach them well, they're going to carry them with them wherever they go. So even if they get hit over the head, it ain't going to be a hard hit because they know certain things that you've instilled in them. So that's the thing that I want to kind of talk about, before we get on to our discussion. It's a blessing to have people in your life that really care about you. And I mean, when they care about you to the point of where they don't expect anything in return, and they're genuine people. They have a love for you. We throw that phrase around, man, I love you and all this, but we throw it around loosely, but we aren't sincere in our hearts and our minds and our souls. It comes out, but we're really not sincere. So if you teach them, they're going to feel what is necessary to discern themselves with people who are out for their own best interests and really don't have love and care for them. We need them people in our lives too. We have to navigate through the world just like that. We're going to navigate through all the bad, the good, and the ugly. But if you put that in their spirit and make it part of their values, they're going to always remember and they're going to reflect back. They may not ever tell you. The only thing you can do is have your reward comes in knowing that you've done the best you can. Your reward comes in knowing that you stand for what's good. You're not looking to gain an advantage, particularly when it comes to our children. And it's a blessing to have those kind of people in our life. Now, here's the other thing: the devil can bless you too. So that's why I'm harping on the part that you've got to be able to put in them so that they can kind of navigate and discern themselves with good versus evil. Just because you receive a blessing, it doesn't mean that it comes from God. A lot of people think that everything good comes from God. No, no. You got to remember that Satan or the devil or whatever you prefer to call him, he has power too. He has supernatural powers that he's allowed to use. But here's the difference. When you ask for something you receive it, right? If the intent is not for good, and I'm talking about you as an individual, if the intent But whatever you wish for, whatever you pray for, whatever you hope for is not good, and you receive it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it comes from God. That's the point I want to make. So God is goodness, always goodness. We know that. Now, most people, as we had a discussion on God and the devil many years ago, and most people say, well, he's done some evil things. Well, yeah, your parents, if you are a kid, when they spanked you or when they put you on restriction or they wouldn't allow you to take the car, you thought that they were evil. But they did everything they did with love as the first determining factor in their decision making. So your heart condition determines where your blessings come from. That doesn't mean that God won't send you through difficult times, because he will. And he will until you get the lesson. That's an extraordinary love someone has for you. Because none of us want our people to suffer. We don't want our children to suffer. We don't want our loved ones, our mates to suffer. So if we are placed in a position where you must experience that evil, it's from a place of love, and it's necessary for you to get to the next level or to get that understanding. All
That's
right?
so on point. And let me just say this about what you said about the enemy giving out blessings because he has that supernatural power. That's why the people that he does that with, their senses and their, as we call it, spidey senses are not tapped in. So he knows that he can do these things and they're going to take it. Somebody like you, me, DeJoya, or others that are trained, we're going to see it looks good. But we're going to say, nah, that's not from the right source. So I'm not rolling with that. I don't care how much money it is. I don't care what the access is. My spirit is more important to me than money in that sense, right? So that's all I'm saying. What you said is exactly right. But most people don't realize the enemy picks the people that he knows he can mess with. The ones he can't mess with, he kind of got to leave you alone almost after a certain point.
Absolutely. Because he know you ain't going to waver. Everybody need to take a look at that story of Job and use that as the example. So when hard times hit them, they know they ain't really hard time. But the reason I say that is because God gave King Solomon 1,000 wives and concubines. But he also knew that
I
there
know
would
he was a tired man, Jesus.
be. I don't know about how those times were. They probably had supernatural or close to supernatural strength too. Obviously, he must have been taking care of all
He was
that.
tired.
He said they had supernatural strength back
He was tired. He was tired. I'm gonna just tell
He
you.
was tired.
He said that.
He was tired.
He said they had supernatural strength back then. Oh Lord, you crazy. Oh my
He was
goodness.
closer. Hey, here's one thing that I believe and I know to be true. He was closer to perfection than we were, because as time goes on, we move further away from perfection. So the first creatures were more perfect than the generation after that.
So what you trying to say?
I agree.
They had some little stamina. They had a little more stamina.
I ain't gonna say all that. Don't give me the line, because I don't know. But I'm assuming if he had 1,000 wives and concubines,
He had to put in. He had to go to work.
all right. But listen, so people look at that and they get they don't understand the meaning. You know, he knew that King Solomon, before he made him king, that he would be an adulteress. But guess what? Even though he assembled and had all of these wives, they all came from different nations. Now check this out, so people can look at it from a different perspective. So for his purpose, those wives, whenever they went back to their native habitat or wherever they were from, they spread the word of what? Of God. So in that sense, he used King Solomon. I know you ain't heard it like that, but you know I get deep and I come. Hey.
Okay, my mind coming back.
Hey, but you understand how that parallels. He gave him and allowed him to have all those wives. And most people would look at it and say, well, why did he do that if he knew he was going to fail and he knew he was going to be an adulterer? Why did he allow it to happen? But on the flip side, they came from all over the globe, all of his wives. They didn't come from the same place. But what
Because the
happened,
purpose was greater. The purpose was greater.
that's
You
the
know,
phrase I'm looking for. His
the
purpose,
purpose was greater than the mission. So, you know,
absolutely. Now we making sense. Now we got some biblical context where we can get some understanding from certain things. And throughout the Bible, you have to get that understanding because it's all there. If you take it literally, you're going to be confused. But if you evoke the Spirit and you have a great, sincere heart condition, the truth will always find you. All right? So that was the greater good, as you so eloquently put it, Miss O'Neill. It was greater than what we see with our thin eyes and looking.
now when I got on my new glasses, that's why I could tell you I got my new glasses on.
Yeah, I see it. That made you smarter, huh?
Yeah, a little bit more. A little bit more.
Okay. All right, listen. So we gonna get on to it. Our discussion tonight is about powerful people and powerless people. Powerful people and powerless people. And why do some powerful people behave like they're powerless? And is it money that makes you powerful? A lot of people believe that it's money. With money comes power. And sometimes it does. But there's a greater perspective that warrants whether or not you're powerful. The money alone does not make you powerful. Having power affects how individuals perceive themselves and attribute it to the value that they have in themselves. That's what power does. Even when you were a kid on the playground, the strongest guy, or the guy who was more athletic, that's a source of power. And it has to do with how they see themselves and how they carry that power. It's how they evaluate themselves. All right? Now, and the key thing is how they see themselves independently. How they see themselves independently in relationship to other people. So if you notice, people who are powerful, they always seem to stand out among those who are less powerful. I know you've been to situations and in circumstances where you see someone walk in the room, the guest speaker walks in, and for some reason, to all of the other people who are powerless, are less powerful. Let's say that. Less powerful, because if he's on that stage, he's got the power. If he's got that microphone, he's got the power, right? We can attribute that power to his position. So they take that power and they command certain things by being powerful. So you've been in the room where everybody, they kind of stand up, they kind of eyeball and start smiling and evaluating because they've come to see him or her. Most people in general evaluate themselves by comparing themselves to others. Most people, y'all, I'm stumping my foot. Most people, they compare themselves to others.
And I don't know why people do that.
Yeah, me either, dude.
There is only one you and there's only one me, and there is no match. I'm unmatched. And you can't take my power from me because you didn't give it to me. And when you realize, when you realize um how powerful you are. And when you realize, where your strength is, can't nobody take that from you. And you're not you become powerful when you realize that. That's why the people are powerful, because they realize those things. And so that's what differentiates the powerless from the powerful. You have to fully step
Absolutely.
into who you are. A lot of us don't know who we are. So
Most of us don't.
yeah. So how do you know where your power is, or how do you know how powerful you are if you don't know who you are? I think that people have to realize that. And a lot of people, when they start realizing, where their power is, they're afraid of it. You can't be afraid of something that is you. Something that is in you. You just can't be afraid of that. So I think that we need to stop. People need to stop being afraid of who they really are, and people need to take hold of who they are and just know you can't take something away that you didn't give.
Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the gift. You're absolutely right. You can't. You shouldn't be afraid. I would say some people are afraid of the power that they have because they don't understand how to use power. So those people, in essence, they are afraid to even uh, give 100% of themselves. So we have to understand that the power that we have is ours and ours alone. It doesn't belong to anybody else.
And then you have to, sometimes you just have to know, not to go biblical, but just, just a comparison. um Jesus himself knew how powerful he was, you know but just because he knew he was powerful, he didn't abuse it at all. He could have stopped all of it in a minute. So sometimes those of us that have power have to be willing to be, for, in a sense, be sacrificed. Sometimes we have to be the sacrifice, we have to be the martyrs, for some things. And I've learned that that's just like, sometimes it's best to keep the peace than argue. That shows power, to be able to shut it off and just be like, okay, I'm a just this, or this is this.
See, that's my
Sometimes,
motto. That's my
That's true
motto.
power, my
yeah,
friend. What you
that's
talking
what.
about is true power.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
you have to be able to step back and just be like, okay,
Yep.
this is this is that, and I know it. So if I know
Yep.
it to be evident, if I know it to be true by any means necessary, why am I gonna keep arguing with you, or why am I gonna keep stating it when it's facts? Like these young people say, oh, that's facts, capping. You know what I mean? So if we gonna talk about capping, if we gonna talk about facts, if I know it's facts, I'm not gonna argue with a signboard. You know what I mean? So I mean, you have to get to that point in your life where you stop arguing with the signboard and just go on, because
Well,
eventually it's gonna be
yeah,
there.
you're exactly right. But the biggest point that we need to make when we start talking about power is this: that it's always a comparison for those who are powerless. Most powerful people, they don't make comparisons with other people. They evaluate situations based on their ability. And that includes their money, their resources, their ingenuity, all of those different things. Most people make a comparison between themselves and other people when we're talking about power. Powerful people, they do not make a comparison against other people. Analyzing competition is not the same as making a comparison. Let me say that again. Analyzing the competition is not the same as making a comparison to someone else. Poor people, people who have limited resources, people who don't quite understand business and life, they compare themselves. People who are successful, they look at the competition. That's a big difference. If you're my competitors, I'm a smart businessman. I'm supposed to analyze the competition. I'm supposed to analyze what's futuristic, what things that you're working on that's going to give you the advantage. That's
You always
all.
you always want to level up. You always want to level up. A lot of people say, the sky's the limit. To me, ain't no sky. I'm gonna get to heaven. When I get to the heaven, that's it. But I ain't reached it yet, so the sky's not my limit. I have to, I have to tell people that. I was just telling somebody that today they were comparing me to other people. When you talk about comparing, and they were saying how everybody come to work and they complain, but I come to work and I got a disability and I just work. I'd be like, hey, I just be glad to get to the next day, to the next minute. So I know if I get to the next day or the next minute, I can make it. So, I mean, you have to get to that point where there is no limit and you have to push your own limit. So that's where I'm at.
And you're exactly right. Real quick, Mr. G. What Mr. G is also saying is you got to stay on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
You can't allow age and different things to differentiate whether you're tech savvy or whether you're this or that. You got to stay on the cutting edge. So if you're doing certain things and there's new advancements, you're a business person, businesswoman, whatever, you just have to stay level up is exactly right. But you have to stay on the cutting edge. You got to be in tune with the new information, what's happening, and you got to have those relationships that you can get that information because you can't all get it all yourself. That's the whole key.
That's true. That is true.
Yep, you gotta be able to network and reach out. And that's crazy because there's a lot of people that's afraid to ask somebody something. If I know
It's
that
pride.
if I know,
It's pride. People have a
yeah,
lot of pride.
yeah, and if I know you know something to make me better, and I get better, and that means I can help you be better. We can be better together. It's so many people that's afraid to ask for help or to say, hey, you know what? How do I do this better? Or I'm doing this way. So if somebody shows you a better way of doing something, oh, they think they know everything. They think, oh, they don't know this. They don't believe in me. It's not that. Like take that advice, take that help, and be better and level up yourself. You can't just continue to stay in the same spot. And if you don't learn nothing new, you're gonna stay in the same spot.
Okay. Hey, DeJoya Keith, can you all? We got over 50 messages, and I don't.
I
I don't.
can't
Can you
see
all
all
see
I can't see any. All I can see is like when people pop in. I can't see anything.
Well, let me say this. Thank you all for all the gifts, and we're kind of new to the TikTok. We used to do Facebook, and we often respond to every comment. So I don't know how we can do that without me actually going up and strolling and all of that. So just bear with us, but we love all y'all. We appreciate all the comments and all the gifts. But let's get back to it. But if we're going to discuss powerful people, we've got to also discuss the people who are powerless. When people are powerless, and here's the lesson or a good example for people to take with them. When people are powerless, they have a need, not a want. They have a need to work with or for others to achieve their own goals and results. So in essence, powerless people, they have a need to work for somebody else. They have a need for that person to have certain situations set up for them to achieve any of their goals or get any result that they desire. Now, when we get to understanding this kind of stuff, then we will understand that now we need to start tapping into what our power is so that we don't become powerless. And there's nothing wrong with working with other people. There's nothing wrong with working for someone. But we have to, if you have the idea, you can understand that your power is your choice. You choose to do that. It's not a necessity, as all of the scholars and researchers say. They say that people who are powerless, they have a need to work with work for and with someone else. Powerless people are more vulnerable than those with power.
I mean,
Powerless. Say again.
that's kind of that's kind of a given. When you talk
Well, not
about
necessarily, because I can be powerless and I can stay out the way. You know what I'm saying? But you have to place yourself in a vulnerable position to be powerless. If you're not placed in that position, then it doesn't matter whether or not you've got power or anybody else got power. So, I mean, for the majority of people, yeah, they are vulnerable, and that's a giving, like you said, because they place themselves in that position. They don't understand the power that they have within themselves. But here's the key: people who feel powerless are more likely to experience anxiety, depression, and other mental health disorders. So, when people are powerless, these are the physiological uh, things that happens to their bodies and their minds. They feel anxiety, they feel depression, and they have other mental health issues. Think about it like this: nobody wants, when you become of age, no grown person wants to be told what to do all the time. No person, because that's just the way we're built. Humans are not built to just take orders and take orders. Now, do I mean that there's never a period in time where you have to obey authority? Of course. If you live in a society, there's a pecking order. If you live and have a government, there's a pecking order. So there are rules and regulations that govern us all. So we somehow, in some way, will always take orders from others. But the mental part is that a choice. If I choose to live in this society, if I live in this gated community, and whatever the homeowners association rules are, then I'm making that choice and I have to abide by those rules. If I don't like the rules and the laws of the United States, I can move somewhere else. But anywhere you go, you're still going to be there, and there's going to be a different set of rules. So we have to keep that in mind. So here's the kicker. It's quite the opposite for powerful people. When people are powerful, and now again, I haven't mentioned anything about money yet. I'm just talking about attitude, mental capacity, and the way that we think and how well we know ourselves. The more you know yourself, the more powerful you become. Most powerful people, they expect others to work for them to accomplish whatever they want. That's what powerful people, their whole obligation to society is to create situations, jobs, and careers for other people to work for them. Now, is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. But again, I'm talking about the mental capacity, the way people think. And powerful people don't think to be dependent on other people. Powerful people think that people who are less powerful should work for them. Not only for them, but with them. Okay? Having power creates new expectations and new opportunities. That's how powerful people think. That power that they have, it creates new expectations, and new opportunities. Power insulates us and erodes the need to connect with those around us. Thus, the people who are separated and are happy by themselves in complete solitude, it doesn't bother them. It's peaceful to them. So it erodes the need to connect with other people. All right, you got anything? I'll open it up for a minute before I can continue. Do you believe that's true, Keith, where people who have power, most of them at least, and I know some powerful people and people with a lot of money, those people to me, they are more peaceful and happy by themselves. They don't need to be surrounded by people. They don't need an amen card.
I'm with you 100%. You know, I always ran in a lot of different networks and I still do, but since I got into that commodities network, that private network that you and me are in,
Right,
and when I got it, that's how I met you because met you by accident.
right,
Um, I've learned so much about these people that we're talking about, and the reality is they're not trying to prove anything. They're trying to stay private. They don't want people to know who they are, some of the people we deal with, right? So it really comes down to what you're saying about pride, but also self-image. If you as a person know who you are, you don't have to shout it from the mountaintops or the rooftops. You already know who you are. And everywhere you go, people know who you are without you saying anything. Because when you come into the situation, they just know who you are because it's what you're talking about. You're spiritually connected. You're not doing it for ill will. You're connected to yourself. You're connected to your purpose, your dreams, and your goals. So everything that you do is all connected. Look, real quick, I met somebody new last week. I told you about the stuff we had going on. So the woman says to me, she says, I know your sign. I said, how you know my sign? We just met. She said, I know your sign. I said, tell me. She said, you a Taurus. I said, how you know I'm a Taurus? And then she started breaking down. She said, take charge, this, that, all these things. I said, well, Zodiac is part of the things. I said, but that's not really what you're seeing. What you're seeing is my energy. What you're seeing is who I am as a person. This is how I am everywhere. And I didn't even do nothing. Right,
right,
really. I'm just chilling. So you telling me what you see, and there's nothing for me to take charge of. We just all I'm chilling with my best friend, and we they click whatever we chilling. So people have to understand that you as a person, God, the supreme architect, is a jealous God, and he wants you to choose him. Job chose God. Even though he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? He was at his lowest point, but he never spoke bad about him. He never went against them. And that's what the supreme architect wants to see. The bigger your dreams, the bigger what your goals are, the more you have to go through. That's just the reality. So if you
right.
say you want to be like at Mr. G's level, some of y'all don't know. Mr. G real humble, but I'm gonna blow the horn for him a little bit. He's at a level that most people will never even see.
Hey,
The networks that he's
hey,
in,
you about to get me to get the IRS and the FBI.
no, 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 no. You already got that taken care of too.
Yeah,
So, yeah, no. All I'm saying is people need to understand that don't look at everything through like the lens of I'm just looking at how I see it. Realize that there's more depth to things. And the more you get into the spiritual part of things, it's about you. You can create and design the life that you want. I don't care where you are right now. I don't care where you are right now. You can create and design the life that you want. The question is, are you going to be willing to go through the work and the pain that it's going to take to get there? Because it's going to take pain and heartache. But guess what? It's all worth it.
yeah. And the other thing is, you've got to really be one of those people, man, who are sincere and really want what it is that you're talking about. A lot of people give half-hearted efforts for the moment. If they're caught in that moment, yeah, I want to do this. Yeah, I want to play ball. You know what I'm saying? But they don't want to go through the Columbine and go to college or wherever you go for the next level and up.
They don't want to do them two-a-days, Mr. G. They don't want to do 6 a.m. and then come back again in the
Right.
evening and do two-a-days. You know what I'm saying? I'm with you, bro. 100%.
Yeah, they would rather, because a lot of our reality is shaped by imagery and shaped by the things that we see. So when we see a celebrity or a star, they don't see the 15, 20 years. All they see is them on that stage. And oh, I want to be like Jay-Z. Oh, I want to be like, oh, I'm good. I can be, no, no.
Oh,
It does
say
not
that.
work that way.
Say that again. How many years did you say? Say that again for the people on the live that think they are artists and they gonna blow up right away. What did you say? 15 years? Uh-huh. Yeah, uh-huh. Okay. Break
And
it down.
that's true for 99% of all of them. Not just you. You got one or two that might get lucky and get on because somebody favors them or whatnot. And it ain't never about the talent. It's all about your connection and whether or not what you're willing to do. But that's another discussion. We'll talk about that a little later. But listen, believe it or not, most powerful people and the and ideal, most effective and ideal powerful people are peaceful people. Don't get it twisted because you see all of this United States government, all of this chaos and all that crazy stuff. Those are exceptions. Most powerful people are very peaceful people and they are very effective. Their demeanor is calm. They don't get upset. You know what I mean? Powerful people are not people who fly off the handle. If you think about this, and I know this will drive that point home. Think about all the mob and gangster movies, those characters that you've ever seen. I'm not talking about Jimmy the Hitchman and all Al Pacino. I'm not talking about those guys. Look at what was his name? Keith Tony Sosa. That was his name. And what was it? What did Scarface?
Sosa was in Scarface. Sosa was in Scarface. That was Sosa. Yeah. Sosa told Tony, "Don't ever F me." And they was all chilling at the spot. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's Sosa. That's Scarface. Yeah.
My point is, you see his demeanor, right?
He was chilling. He had the mansion. He had the whole like hacienda out there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was balling.
And most of them, if you look at The Godfather, you look at all of them.
Michael Corleone, Marlon Brando. Yeah, Michael Corleone Sr. And then, Godfather's like another classic one. Yeah, they were all chill. If that's what you're saying, they were all chill.
They were all chill. They were not people that flew off the handle. You know, they took calculated risks. They took calculated risks. And the people that worked for them, they might have had some loose cannons, but that was not them. These people are very disciplined and they know themselves. Once you get to understanding who you are and the power you have, there's no need to let your emotions lead you through this life. Most of us, because we aren't aware, we get, and I'm going to use the word distracted. When we get into the job, when we get into our communities, when we get into all of these different environments, we are led by our emotions because we don't know who we are and how powerful we are. So in other words, we don't know how to react because of our circumstances. Powerful individuals know that their peace is more valuable than anything else. Arguing, fussing, fighting, and explaining themselves. You know, that's just like me. If you don't believe what I'm saying, I'm not forcing you to believe anything. I'm not going to debate you on something that I know. Because as we said last week, the truth is the truth. It don't matter who tells it. It's still going to be the truth. So we don't have to argue. What's my saying? It's better for me to keep the peace than to be right. I could care less about being right. Because if I know I'm right, why am I arguing with you when I know that you are wrong? That makes no sense. So I'm going to sacrifice my peace to prove a point to you. And 9 times out of 10, who I'm proving this point to is not going to affect anything in my life. So why waste that? You know. So,
I just don't do that because 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have to come back to me anyway. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
That's the truth. Amen.
You know, when you when you making boss moves and you walking in your power or whatever, you can listen to people go back and forth all day. I ain't listening to you. I ain't this, I ain't that. And guess what? Guess who you gotta come back to? You gotta come back to me. So I'm just to that point, where I just don't even argue because I'd be like, I'm gonna see you again. Matter of fact, I'll tell you that when you walk out the door. I'm gonna see you again. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
So that's where I am now.
I'm with you. And look, they are powerful people. They are quick to eliminate anything that disturbs their peace. They understand if they engage in these meaningless conversations or events, it gives the opposition a portion of their peace. That's what I was just saying. Why would I give that peace to you if I know I'm right? You want to argue me down to prove that I'm wrong. And the truth of the matter is, the truth is not going to change. No matter how long we sit here and argue, it's not going to change. Okay? So they would rather keep all their peace for themselves.
Well, it's a lot. It's the people that, when you talk about the truth and this and that and the third, they just want what makes them comfortable. A lot of people don't want, those some of the people we're talking about, they don't want the truth and they don't want to be able to be in a different position. They just want what makes them comfortable at the moment. If you are truly walking in your power, you don't mind, as you always tell me, oh, you just a little uncomfortable for a minute. And for I used to get so mad at you, when you say that, I would get so mad at him, y'all. To the 102 people that's on here right now, I'd get mad at him 102 times when he would tell me, "Oh, you just a little uncomfortable." But throughout his mentorship, I've learned that the times that I'm uncomfortable are the times that I really get the lesson. You
And that's
know,
when you're growing. That's when
yeah,
you
you
grow.
don't you don't ever get the lesson, the core of the lesson, if it's always easy for you. If it's
Absolutely.
always right there for you. So the times that you are look, and you got to say it like he said, a little uncomfortable. You know,
Exactly. And
when
ain't
you
nothing wrong with being a little uncomfortable. Like
yeah,
Representative
yeah.
John Lewis said, good
Yeah,
trouble.
a
Ain't
little
nothing
good
wrong with a
trouble,
good trouble.
So you
Yeah.
learn the most important lessons when you a little uncomfortable, or whatever, because you really get you get the meat of what's going on. So
Absolutely.
I be uncomfortable a lot, y'all, dealing with him right
And
there.
not only that, listen, also from the biblical perspective, powerful people do not worry. Powerful people, and I know that my lodge and the sisters and people that I'm in contact with daily, I know that they get a little pissed at me because I don't move like most people move. I don't blow smoke up nobody's behind. I don't fly off the handle. So a lot of people have an expectation of certain things that happen, and I'm past that. And I've learned that early in my life. So they don't worry. And the reason they don't worry is because they understand God. They understand their creator. You understand? They know, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, there's exceptions to every rule. So most powerful people, they understand God. They have a strong relationship with Him, whoever they call Him, Allah, uh, Yahweh, and Jehovah, or whatever. They have a relationship with Him, and they understand that that relationship is of obedience, and that's why they are powerful. They understand that He removes their need to worry. Now, y'all check this part out.
I mean, I when you talk about that, I used to say, hey, God, are you there? Now I have changed that to say, I know you're there.
Absolutely.
You have to
Absolutely.
know that there's something. The universe is in control. We
And
talk about the
listen,
universe a lot, masonically,
listen,
so you have to
listen to
know
this
that.
part right here, DeJoy.
Yeah,
Worrying is worship to the devil. When you worry, that just gives him a crack in the
That
door.
just gives him more power to do what he want to do.
Absolutely.
That's weak. That's a sign of weakness in your spirituality and your faith and
Absolutely.
things like that. So yeah, you right. You right. I ain't gonna argue
And I
with you
wish
right
I
there.
could respond to all these 82 messages that we got. 102. Okay. Um,
Yeah, there's 102.
we're gonna have to figure that out, team. After this, because I like to communicate with people, see what their thoughts are, and to get their
Well,
feedback.
y'all are welcome to hit the inbox. Y'all can always hit his. I'm sending out his promo to him for him right now. Y'all can always hit Sir up in his inbox. In his inbox.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, and the other thing is, that's worrying is worship to the devil because it allows him to influence your thoughts and your actions. When you worry, he can influence your thoughts and your actions.
Well, he already has. If you're worrying, it's not that he can. He already has.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think that when you get to a point where something is there and it's evident, you're not even gonna let that sink in. That's like saying you know what, I know my five timetables, and then you start worrying, well, what if I get to 5 times 5 and forget? If you say you know it, then you have to just say that. You can't even allow those kind of things to seep in. You can't allow any kind of question to go there.
And that's the whole point of the whole conversation. You shouldn't worry. Powerful people know God has commanded them that they should cast their worries onto Him. And that's what I do. I know the Joya and Keith, y'all done heard me say, in critical situations, like, all right, there's a solution. We just got to find a solution. While everybody else is panicking, no, there's no need to panic. Because number one, I understand that God has said, hey, you don't need to worry. If you are sincere and you believe in me, then I know what to do to fix the situation for you. You just have to toe the line. And I firmly believe that and I live by that. So nobody can shake me when it comes to things that now if I'm in a burning building, of course, yeah, I'm gonna panic, I'm gonna get everybody out, I'm gonna get myself out and get the dog and the cat and all that kind of stuff. But I'm saying through daily activities and to things that are critical in my life, I'm not worried.
I mean, you can't just have those things there. You have to learn how to execute certain things. You can't just put that right there and be like, I'm not gonna do nothing with it. You have to be able to use it. You have to be able to know. That's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. And we talked about this before. Just knowing how to do something. Knowledge is a whole different thing than the wisdom and knowing when to apply what you know. So, if you know when to apply what you know, then there won't be a question there. There won't be a question of my power, my weakness, this and that, or, will I succeed? Will I won't? Because you already know you have the wisdom to do so. So, if you apply all of that, then you can. And that was the difference between King Solomon and all of the things, was that God gave him the wisdom. He asked for the wisdom. He didn't ask for anything else but wisdom to know how to apply and to use what God had given him to do what he was supposed to do. Even though he was a little, loose right there. But I mean, still,
well,
that don't.
well,
Yeah.
he was still favored. He was favored by
Yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah. That's why God favored him. He didn't ask for any of material things. He asked for something that could be give a lasting gift or give a lasting impression throughout, that not only assisted him but would assist those that
His
came after
entire
him.
king,
And
his
yeah,
entire
so
team. Yeah.
yeah, so you got to think about those techniques when we talk about powerless and powerful.
All right, now let me say something else about powerful people. Powerful people are not anxious for anything. Powerless people get very anxious and they have to have it now. And if it doesn't happen now, they're already ready to quit. They don't want to go the long haul. So powerful people are not anxious. for anything. Because again, they have a high reverence for God. They know what's for them is for them. And their spirituality and their spiritual beliefs gives them that strength to know whatever it is for me, I'm going to get. I've seen it on Facebook and TikTok and all through social media. People say it all the time. What's for you is for you. What God got for you, can't nobody take it away. But 99.99% of the people in the world, they worry when things don't happen in their time. Okay? So they understand that worrying, it causes physical and mental stress. A person experiencing any form of anxiety disorder exhibits symptoms like fear, dizziness, hyperventilating, and overthinking. That's another one. People overthink things. How many times that I've seen people where I've given a simple task, especially when I was in the military, and I come back and all you do is just empty the trash can. And they don't wash the whole building and painted it. And all you want is the trash outside in the dumpster. So when people overthink things, it causes anxiety. So overthinking is not good either. It interferes with most people's daily lives in many ways. More especially, it affects their mental health. Truly powerful people. Now, I'm hitting the floor again. Truly powerful people realize how powerful their tongue is. They understand how powerful words are. They calculate and they think before speaking, and they never, ever speak negatively about themselves. Powerful people do not speak negatively about themselves. And we know powerless people do it all the time. I can't do this, or, well, if I had this, I could do it, or, I'm just not tall enough, or I'm not strong enough. We got all kinds of excuses, and I'm a failure, or I'm so disappointed in myself. Powerful people do not have negativity attached to their livelihood. And that's what we got to get to. Because if you think about it, your tongue, your words are very powerful. And once they're said, you can't take them back. We become what we speak. If you say you can't do something, you've already said that, you've already commanded everything around you to preclude you from doing it. If you say that you can't do something, you've already commanded the universe, all of your support, and everybody else around you. Think about how you feel when you're talking to somebody and you get that kid or you get that person that's trying to do a project for the first time, and you meet them. They say, "Oh, I can do this, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be great when I get done. Oh, man, I got it all figured out in my head, and I know what needs to happen." Versus you meeting that person, say, "Man, I want to start this business, man, but I ain't got the money. It's going to be kind of hard." Which person would you rather deal with? And which person do you think is going to be successful? It ain't going to be that person that's already cast it down before they even started. So they don't speak negatively about themselves because they understand whatever we speak, we become. Now, powerful people, they do not have fear. Godly and powerful people do not have fear. Now everybody's gonna say, Mr. G, everybody is scared at one time. No, that may be true before they become powerful. But when they master themselves and they understand themselves, fear does not interrupt their lives or any event that they plan. Because they don't have fear. And it's not an arrogant or boastful persona that I'm talking about, but a confident one. They're confident enough not to have fear. God did not create us to be fearful. He did not. It's an inherited trait. We inherit that trait of fear because of our sinfulness. But he did not create us to be fearful. The understanding is we should only fear God himself. And the reason is because he created us. And the only time we should fear him is when we disobey him. Think about it. You don't have to fear God if you're following his will and command. What do you have to fear if you're doing what's necessary? It doesn't make sense. All right? Man, I guess Keith dropped off. Let me see, can I get him back? Yeah. But yeah, that's something that we need to think about. We don't have to fear anything. He didn't create us to be fearful. And as I said earlier, fear is a devil's tool. It is what the devil uses, not God. Yes, worrying is a tool that opens the door for him to influence us. It gives him an opportunity to persuade us to do things we wouldn't ordinarily do.
Right.
Now, last, we all have a limited time on this earth. Everyone. Nobody can escape it. All of us are going to end up in that undiscovered country in the sky. So we can't forego it. I know talking about it and accepting the truth is kind of uncomfortable for a lot of people, and that's okay. But understanding it will help us focus on the most important things in life. How to gain access to our power. That's the most important thing that we can do in this lifetime. Figure out how do we gain access to our power, which is already instilled in us. If we knew when we would expire or when we were going to die, if we knew that, we would explore and concentrate on more meaningful things in life. Think about that. If you knew the date and the hour, which we as Masons are taught, no man knows the day or the hour, we would change a lot of things and we would concentrate on the things that are most meaningful in our lives instead of foolishness. Well, most of us would anyway. Some people are just going to be foolish all their lives, my mama would say. But most of us would, But we would also ask for forgiveness right before we expire, because we think that's that's our guarantee into that kingdom. If we just do everything we want to do and then just ask for forgiveness, but it don't work that way. And since we don't know when that day is coming, it would serve us better and best by utilizing each day to its fullest. And you can't do that if you don't maximize your power. You can't do that if you worry about things that are unimportant. If you understand that God says, cast all your worries unto me, then you wouldn't worry at all. All right. Although being powerful is not bad, and most people work hard to get in powerful positions. We all know that. A lot of people, they have that radar and those stepping stones to get to where they want to go in life. Some become obsessed with power. And we know what happens when you get obsessed.
Mm.
It leads to abuse. It becomes a self-serving bias and lead many into turning away from God and becoming selfish. That's what you do when you become obsessed with power. Power should never be used for selfish behavior. And it should always focus on the greater good. That's why we have the power. All right, y'all got anything else before I conclude? Because I'm about done now, but I don't want to get to preaching.
No, we good.
All right.
No, you
Okay.
good, OG. I mean, you covered everything. I mean, I think the bottom line is that people need to understand that everything is in your mind. And just like we talked about, as God and the supreme architect is a jealous God, you have to choose him. So if you don't choose him, the things that we're talking about are obsolete. And it makes you that food for the devil to go ahead and eat you up. Because it says he seeks to devour who he can. The ones that are soldiers, he can't because your mind is too strong. It doesn't mean that you're not human and you can't get caught up. You can. But once you master what it is that you need to do yourself, it's very difficult for you to get caught up. It's almost impossible because you see through what it is. Your spidey senses are so in tune because you're in tune because you chose the man upstairs. So I'll leave with that.
Well said. Well said. Kudos on that, Queek. And you're absolutely right. So, in conclusion, powerful people tend to think in terms of control, opportunity, and strategy, focusing on the bigger picture and long term outcomes. Powerful people focus on control, opportunity, and strategy, and the bigger picture. Powerless people focus on the immediate gratification, short term control. They're happy if I'm in charge for 2 minutes. Powerful people look at the positive long term outcome and those results. Their sense of influence gives them confidence to take the risks as necessary and to make decisions quickly and view challenges. They view challenges as solvable problems. In contrast, powerless people often think from a place of limitation and caution. They think of limitations and caution. They focus on immediate survival. That's powerless people. Only thing they want to do is survive for the moment. If you're trying to go to the club, you ain't thinking about all week long. You just want to get $100 so you can go to the club and try to figure it out the rest of it later on. Powerful people don't think that way. They think about long-term solutions. So they think about, powerless people think about immediate survival, avoiding mistakes, and seeking approval rather than asserting direction and guidance. They seek approval. Remember, we come that phrase again, we got the power that's within us, we just don't know how to find it. But these people are not even concerned with that. They're only concerned with approval. Now, ultimately, the difference lies in not just in external status, but in the mindset. That's what power is. It's a mindset. Powerful thinkers believe that they can shape their circumstances. Repeat. Powerful thinkers believe they can shape their circumstances, while powerless people believe their circumstances shape them. So thanks everybody for joining us. We enjoy it. We hope that you gained something from this. We're going to keep doing it every Wednesday, and we're going to figure out how to respond to you all. I promise you I will. I appreciate all the 102 or 110 people who were with us tonight. So you all take care. Look for us on We Talk every Wednesday at 8 o'clock right here on TikTok. So au revoir, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, and we will talk to you all soon. Take care.
Okay,
All right,
y'all.
peace.
He was saying bye.
They get it.